Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lesson 17, Term 2 of 2024. We are going to look at summarizing. Now, I'm Mrs. Swart, and I'm going to take you through the lesson. Something interesting about summarizing. When I saw the title was summarizing and not summary, it made me think of the different types of summaries we make, and it's something you're going to use throughout your life. So I thought that while I will touch on the correct academic summary, I'm going to show you how else we use summaries to make sure we understand things better. If we want to work out things, if we want to read something and tell someone about it, we're going to use summaries for that. So let's look. Usually it's the traditional 7-point summary we do for schoolwork, but let's look at what summarizing is about. It's a shortened version of something that has happened or is happening, or it could be about a book or a film. It's something that we speak of when we say we're highlighting something, we're summing it up, we're outlining it. We want to give a rundown of something, but we don't want to say everything. We want to give the most important facts. You can review it. It could be extracting something from it. And it's a skill that will make studying easier. You'll take these keywords and you will learn them. For instance, with mnemonic devices, we will find that we use keywords to help us, but a summary is not simply keywords. It helps to make studying easier, but it's not just keywords. Okay, so synonyms for summary. We've already said highlights. Could be a précis, synopsis, digest, summing up, an abridgment. All sorts of things are summarizing. In other words, you're making it shorter and you're getting the important things in a shortened version. It's a unique technique. It's something you're going to use to help you remember information. I just mentioned the mnemonic devices, and note that its pronunciation is mnemonic. It's not mnemonic. Okay. And if you think of the compass, and this I learned when I was in primary school, how to remember the different points of the compass and the direction so that you could get it right. And we learned it this way. Now we shall eat. Now north, we west, shall south, and eat was east. So these are the sorts of things that you use, and I know that you will use it in other languages as well, because it's like a little rhyme that you learn and it helps you to remember other things. The first time you use it, you might find that you struggle and you can't remember why you've learned this rhyme, but eventually it becomes second nature and it's so simple for you to use. It's really worth learning. Let's look at this. If I were to ask you, what did you do over the weekend? Now, I've made a list of things that I might have done. You don't go and start with on Friday when school closed. I packed up my bags and then I walked 20 steps to the door. I opened the door, I closed the door. What do? You tell us the highlights, the most important things that you did, the things that really stood out. I went to choir practice at church on Friday night. I met my friends at the mall on Saturday. We shopped for a special gift for our mothers for Mother's Day. We attended a soccer match at our school in the afternoon, and I made a surprise breakfast for my mother on Sunday before we went to church. That's a summary of your weekend. But we don't just use it for things like that, but I want you to take note, however, that when we do use it, we take the important points out, the important facts out. If I were to ask you to tell us about your favorite book that you've read or your favorite film to date, something that might have had a great effect on your life, and you think about it, say, okay, I enjoyed a book called The Shack. It was the most incredible book, very exciting, very interesting read. And when you think of books, you would be summarizing characters. Remember, you use it in literature. It could be characters, plot, the setting. You could even show the characterization. Freytag's pyramid will help you so much. If it's something like, if I were to ask you, why did you select that book? You might say, well, I read the blurb. The blurb is the information on the back. It tells you a little bit about the book. And these are the things that will make you curious to want to read. Some people select a book because of the cover. But remember that when you're summarizing something, you're writing the most important things down. You will only write down what is most important, not all sorts of frivolous, unnecessary things. Look at the Freitas pyramid. You've already had a look at it before. You've already seen how everything builds up, that you know how to summarize your whole story. You'll be able to say in the exposition, that happened, then that happened. That was the turning point. So summarizing is so important. You can't take a book, a whole book, and turn around and say, okay, so I have to tell them from beginning to end. It doesn't work like that. So make sure that you know how to summarize. But we, of course, need to look at how we do a formal academic summary. What will happen here is you won't just get a passage and be told, summarize the passage. If I give you a book and I say, summarize the book, you're going to tell me about the plot and the setting. But with a formal academic summary, you will get a passage and you will be supplied with a topic. The topic is a question that you have to answer. So it means that that is what you're going to look for. You're going to look for the facts within the passage that answer that question, that tell you about it. You will have to use a limited number of words. If you have to use 70 words, you don't go over 70 words, because anything more than that will not earn you any marks. It will be in point form for first additional language and in paragraph form for home language. And of course, then you're instructed to use your own words as far as possible. Now, using your own words, very simply, it's things like the man crossed the road. How do I write that in my own words? He crossed the road. I've used pronouns, I've changed it into my own words. Unless you lift something word for word from the passage, it won't be a quote. It won't be quoted verbatim. So be careful of doing that. Don't make that mistake of just lifting. There are times that lifting isn't punished so heavily, especially in the formal academic summary, but in any other writing piece, you cannot just change a word here and there and offer someone else's work as your own. That would be plagiarism. It would be cheating. Now, I want you to please go and complete the summary questions here and make sure that you try and see. It's mostly about the tips I've given you. So I really want you to go and have a look and see if you can answer these questions. And if you will remember the tips that were supplied to you about summaries. We have done a formal summary before, so I know you'll be able to do it, but I'd like you to really try this and see if you can get it right. Thank you and have a wonderful afternoon.